Well, a warm welcome to today's talk. It's Thursday, the 18th of May now. I want to bring some more coverage today from the International Third COVID Summit from the European Parliament. And it's good to see that the European Parliament seems to have a freedom of expression. And I'm not making a political point here at all, but a freedom of expression that's not so readily available in the United Kingdom, for example, or indeed in other countries such as add a country you would like to at that juncture. So this talks about the lack of media coverage. Why is this being ignored by mainstream media? I've seen no coverage of this at all. Quite incredible, really. Why is it not being covered? The speakers, and this is just like a summary of what went on at this conference. I'm going to put the full link, so if you want to watch the whole thing, there's about 4 hours of coverage available on YouTube. I'm going to put the links if you've got time to watch it all. But the speakers talk about legitimate questions that simply aren't being asked, or even worse, in some circles, are not allowed to be asked. And that should concern all of us. It once returns to what we might call normal practice and normal safe practice. All medical interventions especially need to be safe first, do no harm. It's not difficult. It's not a complicated concept. It talks about some research that has been carried out that could be considered to be unfortunate. Research that perhaps should never have been done. That some scientists and doctors should not have been dabbling with things where the outcome is unpredictable. People should only experiment at the risk of total accountability, not in a blasé, cavalier, high-handed way. It talks about the international health regulations that we've talked about a few times on this channel, a couple of times on this channel, and it expresses concern. I gave you information about these. You could decide whether you were concerned or not, as always. Don't tell you what to think, unlike others that could be mentioned. Good intentions will often go awry, is one of the speaker's sayings, which is absolutely true. So whether this was good intentions that went awry or whether the intentions weren't that good to begin with, again, you'll have to decide that. Links to the full conference, as I've said. We want improved standards for the future. And it talks about October 2021 as kind of a pivotal date when thinking in many people changed. I must say my thinking was a little later than that. It was my thinking changed in about December 2021, maybe just before that, maybe November 2021. My thinking changed then, hopefully, as a result of the evidence. Anyway, let's listen to these speakers now, give them a chance, and then we'll just wrap it up at the end. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming to this press conference after we held yesterday in the European Parliament in Brussels, the third edition of the International COVID Summit. We had tens of doctors, of experts, of researchers, truly professionals who were analyzing and dealing with the coronavirus for many years, and who presented us yesterday their findings and conclusions after the pandemic that we witnessed in the past 3 years. We have here some of the doctors that presented their findings yesterday. I would like to give the floor now to Dr. Malone to share with us some of the conclusions of yesterday's event. Doctor.
Thank you very much. I don't have any prepared remarks. I would like to acknowledge the courageous MPs that have enabled this opportunity and thank them on behalf of the International COVID Summit Group. This is our third International COVID Summit meeting. First one was in Rome in the Senate by invitation. The second one was in Marseille and Massy in France. And now it's been our great pleasure to be able to share our observations and conclusions here in Belgium. I would like to, in particular, emphasize one of the key findings that ran all the way through the presentations, which is that, in fact, there are people who are vaccine injured. This is something that has been suppressed by all channels of, forgive me, corporate media and governments that there are these individuals who are in fact vaccine damaged, and they have not been allowed to speak. They have had their experiences suppressed. They have been demeaned. They have been gaslit, and they are damaged. And they are damaged in large part consequent to the rush of this product without adequate testing. This was also very well demonstrated during the meeting yesterday, that the regulatory affairs rules and regulations that have guided the European medicines agencies and the FDA and agencies all over the world have been very actively bypassed, and unfortunately there have been consequences. That what we learn is that the wisdom of having these norms and practices to ensure the safety and effectiveness of products before they're deployed into humans have good reason to be used. That they do provide benefit to the population and to humanity by ensuring that the activities of the pharmaceutical industry, whether well-intentioned or otherwise, are properly controlled to ensure the safety and effectiveness of the products in the population. And I now ask for Europe and the European Parliament to please consider that these individuals who have been subjected to so much, they've not only been damaged by the mandated products and the vaccine passport requirements, etc., in order to just engage in their daily activities, to be employed, etc., or in lieu of not being vaccinated, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their livelihoods. I strongly encourage that we acknowledge these individuals, we work together, and that the European Union might provide leadership in helping to discover and identify potential treatments and therapies so that they can be made whole and that they be compensated for the damages that they've incurred as a consequence of the policies that have been implemented throughout the EU, the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and across the world. So that's my plea. The conference was, in my opinion, a great success. Again, in large part thanks to the willingness of the MPs who have been so courageous in enabling this meeting. And it truly covered a comprehensive scientific scope. We had a clear demonstration that the European Parliament and the European Union was warned that if there was allowance for patenting of genetically modified organisms and allowance for gain-of-function research, there might well be consequences. And unfortunately, we have seen these consequences now over the last 3 years. We also learned of the damages that have been associated not just with the virus itself, which the evidence indicates was in fact not of natural origin, but also from many of the interventions, and in particular the public policies having to do with lockdowns, the deleterious effects of mask mandates on children, all the way through the legal implications and looking forward to the international health regulations that are being so actively promoted under the logic that the World Health Organization, which in our opinion, I think most of my colleagues would agree, has been an abysmal failure in managing this outbreak, is now asking for more capital, more power, more control, and more authority, and to really breach the sovereignty of individuals throughout the European Union and the United States and the rest of the world. And I strongly suggest, as do my colleagues that presented on this topic, that the members of the European Parliament closely scrutinize the proposed international health regulations, much as the African nations did when they came up for debate previously, and take a wary, skeptical, experienced honest eye, remembering that even good intentions will often go awry, and policies and procedures which seem logical can at times be used for other purposes. So I thank you for your time, for the opportunity to speak here, and I hope you will take back to your constituencies the message that the vaccine damaged do exist and they need to be cared for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malone. Christine?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for being here. I would just like to reflect on yesterday's conference, and I really have to say I thank each and every one of the presenters, of the scientists, of the doctors, to appear in front of us and to give their arguments, present the data, present the facts, because in the end we were pretty much right about everything. Just thinking back when we started 2 years ago, I didn't know any one of these wonderful people, how far we have come. We have grown into a family. It's a family of dissenting voices all around the globe. And I'm particularly grateful that I have been made a member of this family that I'm very proud of. And like I said, wonderful people, and we will continue to be the dissenting voice, and we will do whatever it takes to bring down the globalitarian elites. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christine. Ivan?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. I am very happy and proud that we managed to organize the third International COVID Summit. We have heard some wonderful science, research and testimonies yesterday, and it is amazing to have it all in one place. I must say that there is political will in Europe, there is political will in this parliament and also in national parliaments that wants to make things right and that wants to make great standards for the future. We will send the conclusions, each of every professor, doctor, to the EMA agency, to the Commission, to our COVID committee, and we will demand that they take these findings into account. If they refuse to do that, we will hammer them with the scientific data. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as Dr. Malone mentioned, and my colleagues, for us in the European Parliament, we took the lead, I would say, in October of 2021 when my colleagues here to, first of all, raise concerns. We were not aware initially about the gravity and the complexity of the issue, but I'm glad that after our fight here, we got to this point where we were able to bring so many experts and researchers, professors and doctors to share their findings with us. And I would like to give the floor now to my colleague, Mr. Kolakušić from Croatia.
Thank you. I would like shortly to Vera people from upcoming danger for humanity.
Well, that last speaker there, who I rather rudely cut off, was the democratically elected member of the European Parliament, one of the Croatian constituencies, Mr. Mislav Kolakušić. But I don't think I can play you his content, unfortunately. It's a bit of a risk for me to do that. So, unfortunately, I'm going to leave it there. Now, there are links to other parts of YouTube where these videos are available in full. But thank you for watching this bit.